It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of August 11th, 2000. We got 3 movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman in the sports comedy, The Replacements.
The players' strike became official at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
We're going to finish the season anyway. We're going to use replacement players.
They've all played football somewhere. Not all of them in the pros, but they all have something unique to bring to the game.
Hey, Scab!
I don't want trouble.
1, 2, 3!
Thanks, guys. Hey, Falco! You're not even a has-been. Here it never was!
We're going to take those people and try to put together a winning team. Nothing else. This should be fun to watch. At first, I admit I was afraid. I was petrified.
You were petrified?
Thinking I can never live without you by my side.
The Lord is by your side.
And then I spent so many nights thinking how you gave me along. And I grew strong.
You know I hate this damn song.
I learned how to get along and so fast.
Cheese lips. Come on, Kurt. We got this.
What do you do here, John?
You go for it, Pat. You have to.
But Falco's been shut down by this defense all afternoon.
All it takes is one big play to get him back in the ballgame.
And here goes Falco.
Falco scores!
I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational, but that just wouldn't be our style. Paint heels, chick stick scarves, glory lasts forever.
Get me the ball.
Get me the ball. Are you gonna get me the ball? I'll get you the ball!
I hope he didn't kill somebody.
The football is like a one-man cold to Clifford Franklin. Clifford Franklin the only one catching it. Clifford Franklin the only one coming down with it. Man, why you play that dumbass song?
So, as you could tell, this is a movie that's loosely based off the 1987 NFL strike, where they had the players went on strike, and they had 3 replacement games without any of the regular players. And the Washington Redskins, who were mainly the focus of this film, basically went on to win the Super Bowl that year in 1987. They were basically loosely based on them in particular. And in this film in particular, you have a story where you have these replacement players, including Shane Falco, played by Keanu Reeves, and Martell, played by... I can't remember this actor's name. Where is he? Played by Brett Cullen. Brett Cullen, of course, you may know from Falcon Crest and also Lost. Basically, the controversy in that film is very similar to the real-life controversy that happened between Doug Williams and Jay Schrader back in the 1987 NFL strike. And, of course, Doug Williams went on to become the MVP of the Super Bowl that year. And became the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl for a professional football team, if I'm not mistaken. Even Gene Hackman himself narrated that episode of the America's Game Super Bowl Champions, talking about the 87 Washington Redskins, and very much the movie is very much in that same type of a manner. This isn't about the NFL, though. I guess they couldn't get the rights to use the National Football League, which it's weird because they used the Baltimore Ravens Stadium, M&T Bank, in this movie. And really, when Washington was going to change their name, instead of the Commandos, why don't you just go for the Washington Sentinels? I mean, it was right there for the taking, right there. But I digress. Let's talk about the actual movie, which is a really fun movie. And not only that, it's really damn funny. I love this movie so much. Keanu Reeves does a very good job in the role of the quarterback, Shane Falco. Gene Hackman has a good role in here. Just a great supporting cast overall here. Brooke Langdon, who I thought for a second actually was a cheerleader for the Dallas Cowboys, because there have been some Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders that have actually gone on to become professional actresses in their own rights, most notably Sarah Shahi, who went on to go on to star in Fairly Legal, as well as Melissa Rycroft, who won The Bachelor in season 13 and went on to also be on Dancing with the Stars. There's also been a couple of other people from The Bachelor and Dancing with the Stars as cheerleaders. I thought Brooke Langdon was one of those people, but no, she was an actress all the way in the beginning of her career. Not only her, but Reese Ifans, Jon Favreau, Faison Love, Orlando Jones, Jack Warden's in this movie. It's actually the last film he would star in before his death. But David Denham from The Office is in here as well. You see John Madden and Pat Summerall in there. They got a really good cast here, and the funny moments in this movie are well earned. There's a lot of really good funny moments all throughout the course of the film. It's silly. It knows it's silly. It knows it's having a ton of fun. It's very formulaic in terms of the stories. I mean, it's kind of like the same story we've seen, the underdog sports story, but at the same time, it really is a lot of fun. They really know how to make you have a good time with this. The humor is great. The writing overall is top-notch. The cast is great. It's just a really good, fun sports movie. I love watching this movie every once in a while. It's one of my favorite football movies, honestly. It's the one I always go back to. It's a classic. I love this movie so much. If you haven't seen The Replacements, by all means, do yourself a favor. Definitely check it out. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Richard Gere and Winona Ryder in Autumn in New York.
If you've been waiting all summer for romance at the movies, the wait is over.
Who is this?
Guess.
This weekend, MGM invites you
The perfect 10! Yes!
to remember what it's like to fall in love.
You look at me in a way I haven't quite earned.
Richard Gere, Winona Ryder,
So what do you want for Christmas?
More of this?
Autumn in New York, rated PG-13. This Friday, only in theaters.
So how many times have we seen this story done over and over again? I mean, most notably something like Al Pacino, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Frankie and Johnny. So many other ones I could name. I could literally run down a list here, and we'd be taking up so much time by talking about it. But we really don't need to delve into this too much. I mean, basically, you have a story about a successful middle-aged restaurateur and womanizer played by Richard Gere, who falls in love with this woman played by Winona Ryder, who's terminally ill. And this is actually directed by Joan Chen, who was an actress you may be familiar with. She was in the Joy Luck Club. She was in other stuff like Sidekick. She's been in some stuff that you may have seen before. This is written by Alison Burnett, who has written some stuff that we've talked about on the we haven't really talked about a whole lot, but this was one of the first movies she ever wrote. She would go on to write stuff like Feast of Love, Resurrecting the Champ, Untraceable, the remake of Fame. She actually wrote the fourth installment of the Underworld series, Awakening. She's written some stuff. I never said it was good stuff, but it was stuff nonetheless. And this film really just doesn't look like anything like any other romantic comedy that has the same kind of concept here. I mean, Richard Gere has done a ton of these movies where he's with somebody who's clearly younger than he is, and it's just, there's nothing new about this movie that makes it worth it. I mean, I guess the chemistry between Gere and Ryder isn't terrible. It's not the best, but it's not the worst either. It's just a film that really doesn't do anything to really give you something in the end. Like, it's just another generic, melodramatic, romantic comedy, and it's not even a very good one, despite the good cast that it has here. You know, you got Gere and Ryder, also Anthony LaPaglia, Eileen Stritch, Vera Farmiga, Sherry Stringfield. Good cast overall here, but just not enough to really carry the film overall. There's literally nothing about this movie that's worth it when it's all said and done. And it just doesn't come together in the end. It's just kind of a waste of time, honestly. And it's one of those movies that you look at, how did you spend $65 million on this? Because somebody else could have made this movie for a fraction of that price, and it probably would have been a much better movie in general. But this is just not a good movie. And this is back when MGM was kind of struggling in terms of making money overall. I mean, Francis Ford Coppola was running the studio, I think, for a little bit before he eventually bowed out of here. But it was just kind of like, it's not worth it in the end. It's not a good movie. It's a real melodramatic mess. Just avoid that one like the plague. And you can avoid our last movie, too, because it's not very good either. It's Kim Basinger and Christina Ricci in Bless the Child. Another movie that we've seen done to death so many other times, and so much better, too. You basically have Kim Basinger, who discovers that her niece, whom she adopted, is being sought by a satanic cult seeking to use her supernatural abilities. And, sounds interesting, but Not when you have a script that doesn't really... It really doesn't do anything to make this stand out compared to all the movies of this type. Like, there's a potential here, but it's got a good director, Chuck Russell, who gave us The Mask and Eraser. It also did, was it Nightmare on Elm Street 3? Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Blob. I mean, he's a good director, but this was his first real movie where everyone just kind of looked like, yeah, this is what we thought the first time you took over Nightmare on Elm Street. We didn't think you were going to be that good, and you actually turned out some good movies. And now this is one where it's just kind of like, yeah, you're really stretching it at this point, and it's just not scary. It's not interesting. It's not anything. It just feels like a movie that the studio rushed out solely because they had to get a horror movie out there for a specific date, because it'll make money on the first weekend and then never be brought up again. And yeah, it didn't do that. And it cost $65 million to make, man. Like, come on. Like, what about that trailer looked like it was $65 million worth? Nothing. And the film crashed and burned, not surprisingly. Wasted its great talents. Not just Kim Basinger, not just Christina Ricci. Jimmy Smits is in this as well. Rufus Sewell, Ian Holm. Just a wasted cast on some wasted potential here. It didn't try at all. Not at all. Just avoid this one like the plague. Bless the child. But avoid this one like the plague. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. When we meet next time, we'll take a look at 3 more movies, including Jennifer Lopez and Vincent D'Onofrio in Tarsem Singh's The Cell. We also have D.L. Hughley, Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, and Bernie Mac in the original Kings of Comedy. And we also have Godzilla 2000, which is already an improvement over Roland Emmerich's whatever the hell that was 2 years ago. But we'll take a look at all 3 of those movies on our next episode. But until then... thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.